Hi, welcome to Linguistics. This is a video introducing you to the University of Alberta Online Linguistics 101 course, Section 850 for summer 2023. I'm your instructor, Tim Mills. I developed this online version of our Ling 101 course, and I've taught it for several years. I hope you'll enjoy it as an introduction to linguistics. There are a lot of things I want to get through in this video, and I don't want to make it too long, so I'm going to kind of blast through them. So there's a lot of ways to subdivide the scientific study of language. For this course, we divide it into the five aspects of the structure of language that are most commonly used in introductory courses like this. There's semantics, phonetics, phonology, morphology, and syntax. By the end of the course, you'll be able to do some analysis of language in each of these areas. Okay, this is an online course, and the primary mode of instruction is asynchronous. You'll learn the materials using the textbook, the lecture videos, and the practice materials on eClass. I'm available for discussion, questions, and so on through the eClass discussion forum and by email and other ways we'll get to. I'll talk over that a little bit here in a short while. I'm going to hold office hours. The office hours will have to vary throughout the term because I'm teaching other courses with different schedules for parts of the summer term. I'm going to post current office hours on eClass and let you know as things change. For the start, I'm going to be available Mondays and Thursdays from noon to 1 p.m. on Zoom. The links on eClass I'll show you again shortly. I also want to point out all of the times that I'm talking about here and that are referenced in the course are Edmonton time, and that's Mountain Daylight time for the summer term that we're doing. Overall, you should expect to spend 60 to 100 hours total on this course over the 5 and a bit weeks of our summer term. That's between watching the lecture videos, reading the textbook, doing the exercise, and the quizzes. Of course, how much time you spend on each thing and how much time you spend overall will depend on your learning style, your aptitude, to a certain extent, how much time you have to spend. But that's the rough guideline, 60 to 100 hours. So, in the grand tradition of introductory lectures, I'm now going to walk you through the key points on the syllabus, which I'll show you in a little bit how to find that on eClass. So, uh, the syllabus on the first page here, you can see some contact information, general information, uh, grade breakdown. Let's spend a bit of time on that. There are 5 quizzes, one for each of the main modules. Each quiz is worth 12% of your final grade, as you see in that last column. That's a total of 60% across the 5 quizzes, so take them seriously. Uh, because it's a short semester, there's a quiz slightly more than once every week. So first, there's a Thursday, another Thursday, then a Wednesday the following week, a Tuesday, a Monday, and then at the Friday of that week is when we get to the exam, right? So all the dates, as I said, are based on Edmonton time, Mountain Daylight time. The final exam then is worth 34% of your final grades. That's 60 plus 34. That's 94% of your grades so far. And that last line is experiment participation, worth the final 6% of your final grade. Um, there's a bunch of information about the experiment participation later on in the syllabus, but the basics are, as your instructor, I find it really valuable to show you how linguistic knowledge is obtained, and there's nothing quite like participating in actual studies to get an idea of how that works. And as a member of the linguistic research community, I'm always interested in supporting the research of academics around me. And I just want to remind you, the experimental participation portion of your grade is not dependent on how much you learn, just participating. So enjoy it as much as you can. It's about 3 hours of your time. It may be interesting, it may not. Participating in experiments isn't designed usually to be exciting. It's designed to gather information. But anyway, and it's worth totally about one increment in the grading scheme. So for example, you know, doing the participation versus completely ignoring it could be the difference between a C plus and a B minus, for example, roughly, approximately. Uh, so back to the syllabus. The quizzes, a little bit about the textbook. We have our main textbook. That's the one that I just waved about. This is the ninth edition of Contemporary Linguistic Analysis. Second edition is what I used many, many years ago when I was first learning linguistics. It's a pretty solid textbook. There's also in here, uh, there's a study guide that you can get. Both of these have ebook versions, which have, if you once you buy the access, there are links that you can use on eClass, as well as a physical version like I have. Another textbook that I think is useful, and it's also free online as a digital access, is the Essentials of Linguistics second edition, um, which, so I'm linking it there. I'm not teaching directly from it, but it's a pretty solid textbook as well, if you want another perspective. Okay, moving on to the quizzes. So the quizzes are accessed through eClass. We'll see that in a second. Uh, for each module, uh, right, you'll have a practice quiz to get used to the interface, get an idea of the length and difficulty level. The graded quizzes will each be available for the 24 hours of the day indicated. And once you start it, you have 60 minutes, and it'll cut off at the end of 60 minutes or at the end of the day, whichever comes first. So pay attention to when you start it. Um, as noted in the syllabus here, quizzes will work on mobile devices, but they're not designed for small screens, and some of the content will be difficult or even impossible to really get your head around on a small screen. So you're responsible for accessing it with an appropriate device. That's part of what the practice quizzes are there for, to help know if the device you're accessing it on is good for that. Uh, and remember that open book only means that you're allowed to consult your textbook and notes. It does not mean that it's okay to confer with your classmates. Your work must be your own, and any evidence that this is not the case will be dealt with according to university policies on academic misconduct. Experiment participation, there's more details later on. Final exam, also open book, also online. For it, you will have 3 hours to complete it, and I'll share more details on scheduling for the exam early in the term. But for now, know that it's going to be on Friday the 18th. The more details are going to be how can we make this work, knowing that some of you are in different time zones, some of you have different work schedules and whatnot. So I will schedule it in a way to be as accommodating to that as possible while still keeping it examy and, you know, keeping things controlled and whatnot. All right, there's a whole bunch more here. Detailed schedule. There's also a calendar that you can access through eClass. Important term dates, first day of class, add drop date, and whatnot. Uh, okay. Uh, Copyright. And then there's a whole bunch of policy stuff there. I'm not going to spend a bunch of time going over those details here. You can read that as you want. And like I say, there's a lot of detail about how to participate in the experiments further on down that. Uh, and I'll be sharing an introduction to that from the team that coordinates that, which isn't me, on eClass shortly. Okay. Uh, right. Now, because it's an asynchronous online course, most of your interaction with this course will be through eClass. So let's have a look at that too. And I just want to make sure that I've got this. Uh, okay. Yeah. So here is eClass, more or less as it should look to you as a student. I'm just going to clean this interface up a bit and maybe make things a little bit bigger. So there's the eClass site top to bottom. Um, there was an update to our eClass system just a couple of weeks before the summer term started. So if you've used eClass at the U of A before, this may look a little strange. Uh, I've been teaching here for a decade with the old look and feel, so I'm still getting used to it. But the basics, the actual content is unchanged, so it shouldn't be too bad. And yeah, we'll get through it. Okay, so at the top here, well, below the menu stuff. A couple of interaction communication tools. There's a discussion forum and an anonymous feedback form. So discussion, you can add a topic to ask a question. I will be posting information and announcements through there. The anonymous feedback form is for if you want to communicate with me and you don't want me to know who's asking or making the comment. Totally fine. You just say something. What would you like me to know? Put something in, submit it, and I will see it. And I do intend, I really like getting feedback during the term. If there's something that I can fix before the term is over and it's too late for me to help, like do things differently for you, I like to get that feedback. So that's part of why I have that. And then the third thing there is the drop-in Zoom times. There's a link there. I will be updating this, as I said, as the term progresses and my schedule shifts. I will let you know at least a week in advance as office hours have to move around as much as possible. There may be last minute changes, but only if it's something that's out of my control to change. Okay. After that, we have a bunch of modules, bunch of sort of foldable things here. Uh, First, for holding assorted information, this one, learning outcomes, really important. Learning outcomes, this is a summary of all the things I hope you will learn. I'm just going to click in here. I've got some notes about that. And I go through for each module, each basically chapter of the textbook, the overview, semantics, phonetics. For each one, I list the core concepts, some analytical skills, and a bunch of vocabulary. Some of them have more vocabulary than others. Some have more analytical skills. Um, don't don't let the sort of relative size or amount of text in each of those sections fool you. Sometimes, one line covers a whole lot of work you're going to have to do to get your head around something. But um, what that learning outcomes document is for you to be able to sort of just check off, hey, yeah, I think I understand what this one is. I'm okay here, not so sure about this one. It's a bit of a checklist for what you should be learning. Okay. Um, then there's a below that there's a link to the syllabus. There's a course calendar. I'll just pop that up. Of course, it's not working right now. Come on. All right. When that's working, it'll show you it just has a Google Calendar for our course that you'll be able to see. So I'll get that fixed as soon as I can. Some links to the textbook there if you've purchased online access. Administrative stuff, library, university policy stuff as needed. And then the rest of these are, I'm just opening and closing them too fast for you to see. Sorry about that. Start with just the overview. Uh, for each for each module, there's a section and it's got a similar structure and it's broken down in a hopefully consistent and unconfusing way. So the first thing is vocabulary. There's a lot of vocabulary. I haven't counted this semester, but I counted a while ago and there's somewhere close to 200 technical terms covered in this course. So I break those down by module. There's a bunch of vocabulary to know. Um, you shouldn't be learning from that. You should be learning from the textbook and the videos, but at least that's sort of reference for you. And then each module has sections. For each section, there's a video or videos, uh, some notes to accompany those videos, and some sample problems. So that's the main stuff that I've got here for you to um, study from, to learn from in addition to the textbook. Again, links to the textbook for each module. Uh, and at the bottom of the main modules, there's going to be, practice quiz and a graded quiz. Okay. Um, some of those are in development, so you won't be able to access them all immediately at the start of term, but they will be available. The practice quiz will be available at least a week before the graded quiz has to be written, so that you have some time to get a feel for how you're tested on this material. Okay, so that's that. And there will be content. Right now, you don't have access to the final exam material, but there'll be at least one practice final exam, as well as the link to the final exam when that's available uh, at the bottom of the course. So that's how eClass is structured, hopefully in a way that makes it easy to go through step by step. You may have noticed I put semantics before the other four modules. The textbook puts semantics after those chapters. Not a problem. Um, it's just a little sequencing preference that I have, and it's not like an error or a typo or anything. That's the way that I'm doing it. So anyway, there you have it. It's a whirlwind tour of the course. I know this video is already over 15 minutes long, so I'm going to wrap it up. Um, I really do hope you enjoy the course. I really enjoy teaching it. I enjoy teaching it in person. I do enjoy teaching it online. Uh, and I know that, linguistics is about communication, and asynchronous online teaching feels like it kind of like moves away from that in a certain sense. Um, and so we have to consciously sort of work to make it possible to communicate with each other and really get through this as well as possible. This is a regular university course. I put as much time into it as I do the in-person classes, and I expect you to as well. And I really do hope that you want to interact on the discussion forum by email, Zoom drop-in, you know, contact me and set up an appointment outside of the drop-in times if you need to, whatever. I look forward to seeing you online throughout this summer term.